In this video, I'll demonstrate the penetration testing of backend machine. So this is the backend machine and having the IP address 10.10.11.161. So we'll go to the Kali Linux box now, and I have my VPN on, and then we'll first enumerate the ports of the machine. So we'll do nmap first with the IP address. This assumes that the machine is on. This will give a verbose output. This will perform the scan with minimum waiting time. This will execute the basic scripts. This will give us the version numbers, and this is also give the version numbers of other things. So running the nmap scan, we get the output as port 22 is open, which is SSH port, and port 80 is open, which is TCP port having HTTP, and we see UVCon is posted on that port. So when we go to the port number, when we go to the IP address, we find that API is there, like had this ping message that UHC API version 1.0. But when we search UVCon is a ASGI web server implementation for Python. So now we know that Python is being used, and ASGI is, I think, a synchronous server interface. And then we can now check if there are other directories present in this IP address. So we run GoBuster with the directory search of the IP address HTTP 10.10.11.161 with the word list of user share checklist discovery. So basically we'll use the raft small directory word list for brute forcing the IP address to find more directories, and we'll search for txt and php pages also with the time delay of 100 milliseconds. So there we find docs and API directory. So we'll first go to the docs directory and see if there's anything useful there. Docs. We see that we are not authenticated, so maybe we'll need to create some kind of account, or we'll need to be authenticated to access this directory. So then we'll go to the API directory and see what all is in there. There's an endpoint saying v1, so we'll go to that directory. Now we see that there are two users, so user and admin. I don't think admin will be accessible, but then again we'll check it. It says not authenticated, so we'll go in the user section. The detail is not found, but still we can access, see if there are any users present. Generally it's a number from 0 and then so on. As and when the users are created, it will be like 0 number user, 1 number user, 2 number users, like that. So if we do 0, there's null. If we do 1, it displays information about the admin user. So now we know that admin user has this account. We'll just save it over here somewhere. So now what we'll do is we'll brute force this directory of user and hope we find something. So we'll just do a Ferox buster name tool, of which the directory will be like 10.10.11.161 API v1 user, which is the current directory, and we'll use the same word list and accepting the txt, php, anything. So when we run this, till the time it is running, we'll go and check the basic endpoints like login and sign up. If we check for login, there is a path of login. So we'll also check for sign up. The sign up page is also there. So what we'll do is we'll intercept this request with Bubsuit. Bubsuit is basically a tool used for intercepting requests and then modifying the request as per our needs. So we'll refresh this page and the Bubsuit captures the request. So before we send the original request, we'll just send it to the repeater. So now here we can see that the sign up request is there. So we'll just pass on any value like email is user1@gmail.com, and let's suppose the password is password. But we forgot to change the request from get to post. It says that the value error is of JSON decode, so maybe it's expecting the input as JSON, so we'll pass it as JSON. So the user is now created with the content type of application / JSON. So our user is user1@gmail.com and with the password of password. So now we'll check the login side. We'll just manipulate the request from here only and we see if these parameters are accepted in the login API as well. It says that it's unprocessable entity, so we'll first check what all is it's accepting. So instead of email we have to use username, and we have to use password as well. So password is already there. So it's now saying that it's a value error, so the type is mismatched. Maybe it's not accepting JSON type of data, so we'll pass it as normal value. So we'll pass username is equal to user1@gmail.com and password is password. It still says that the value error is there. We'll just inspect on how the request is getting sent, because it's not even accepting this request. Maybe the type error is there, so we'll need to find out which type of input is being accepted by the login page, login API. So there's nothing written in this side, but if we check on the headers, it says that application JSON is the content type, but we know it's not accepting the application JSON. So now we'll use curl for sending the request. So we'll use curl as, then the data is username user1@gmail.com, password, and then the IP address along with the directories of login, and then we'll just use JQ to format the output. We get the access token, which is this for the user1 user, and the token type is bearer. So let us see what is this token, because this token is a JWT token. I'll turn off the boxwood as of now. JWT.io is a website for inspecting the JWT token. We copy this and then check the content of the token. We see that the type is JWT, the algorithm is HS256, and the type is access token. The expiry date and the each super user is false. So we know that the current user which we created is not an admin, so that's why it's saying false. We got an GUID and then the hash SMCA SH256 code. So the admin will have a secret code here which will be the identification that the user is admin. So we'll now try to get admin access. But since we have created a user, let's go to the docs page and see if we are authorized. It still says that we are not authorized, but now that we have the access token, we'll try and set the cookie as our access token and we'll log in. For that, I have a tool called simple modify headers, in which we'll use the URL pattern of HTTP 10.10.11.161, which is the IP address of the machine. We'll use the authorization field because when JWT token is used for authorization, the header field name is authorization, and here we'll set the bearer. BEARER, and then the key, which is this. We'll start the simple modifier headers for inserting our cookie, and then we'll just refresh the page, and we see that the cookie is inserted and we are redirected to the docs page. It's a fast API docs home page, and see that there are many commands here, directories here, setting, which each have their respective workings. Like this will list down the API version, this will list the endpoints of the V1, this will fetch the current user, this will display the login page, basically routing. So we'll check on this is a put request which stands out. So this lets us try out the API. So let's try it and execute it. It basically sends a curl request to the displayed API endpoint, and then we get the output here. It displays the user .txt, which is basically the first flag which we are searching for. So now we know that we are halfway through the machine, and now we'll check on the other pages. So we'll first fetch the user. We know that the admin user was user1, so we'll check on that. It displays admin@http.local. So now we know that the user is admin. We'll get the GUID of the admin user, and we can see that is super user is true here because the user is admin, so it has super user permissions. Cancel this request, and then we'll go to the update path section where we can insert the GUID and then update the password using the string. So we'll try it out. The GUID is of admin, and we'll set the password of admin as password only. When we execute it, the password was updated. Now we can access this admin section. we'll just put on the admin @HTML.local, and the password we set updated for the admin was password only. So now we see that we are authorized as the admin user. So you can see that even though we are logged in as admin, we are not able to access the admin privileges, because when we do the admin check, it returns as false. So the reason that happens is the cookie through which we logged in was user cookie, but now we have the admin cookie over here. So we'll just copy this entire cookie and update this. So now we have the authorization of the admin cookie. We'll just refresh this page, and once again try the admin check. Now the results are true. So now we are truly the admin user. So we'll now try and access admin file. We'll check for etc.passwd. Check on what all users are present in the system. We see that root is there, and there's one user named HackThBox or home HTB. Now search for the process on which the process directory of this server. We'll use Bobsu to intercept this request and then intercept the etc passwd and try to manipulate it in the Bobsu itself. So we'll try it out and then execute and intercept the request. The Bobsu intercepted the request, and we'll send it to repeater, forward the current request, and just turn the Bobsu on because we don't want any interruptions. So see that there's the request of API v1 admin file, and there's this admin token, and we can access any file from here. So to access the process on which the UVCon is running, we'll just do the proc search on self, and then we'll check the command line, or let's search for the command line first. It says that the path is in home HTB UHC, and then there's Python environment, virtual environment. So we'll check for environment. And we see that there's an app module, app main, which is in the path of the present working directory of home HTB UHC. So we'll access the path as home HTB UHC and then app/main. main.py, since it's a Python file, and we get the Python code which is not formatted really well, so we'll just copy it entirely and then do our formatting of our own. So we'll just do vim of main.py and paste the entire code in here, and then just do some formatting. We'll replace the /n with /r, so it's new line every time. You can see the Python code clearly now, and it has many imports, and then you can see that there's an import from app core config. So we'll see that file on as well. So we'll check for app core and then config.py. We find another Python code. We'll do the same for this as well. We'll do the same formatting here as well in order to read the code clearly. So this in this settings code with has a JWT secret of super secret signing key HTTP. We'll use this sign-in key as an uh, debugging key basically. So what we'll do is, since here when we try and check out the code, right, this part admin exec command. So when we try and execute a command like pwd and try and execute it, even though we are admin, it says bad request because debug key is missing from JWT. And what we found here is a debug key. Like I check in config, this is a JWT secret key, the super secret sign-in key HTTP. So what we'll do now is that we'll manipulate the JWT token. So how we going to do that is just do that and paste in the JWT token of admin, which is this, and it says that the super user is true. So this is the admin token. So what we'll add here is we'll just add the debug file. So we'll do debug is true, and we'll set the 256-bit secret key as this. So now we have set the debug secret key. We have set the debug as true, and it's the super user admin. So we'll copy this JWT token, go to Bobsuit, then now we'll interpret this request of executing the command. So here we'll turn on Bobsuit, try it out. The command is pwd. We'll try and execute it. The Bobsuit will interpret the request. It interprets the request and we'll send it to the repeater section, forward the current request. The interpret section in this, we try and send the request, right? We'll turn out the Bobsuit first. If we try and send the request, it says that debug key is missing. So what we'll do is we'll copy the JWT token from here, paste it in here, that it's updated JWT token with debug set as true. And now when we send the request, it says that the current present working directory is home HTTP UHC. So now we can. So what we'll do is now we'll set up a reverse TCP connection from our that machine to our machine. So what we'll do is here we'll do an encoding of the bash dev TCP request. So what we'll do is here bash, and we'll base 64 encode it. Bash interactive shell of dev TCP. Our IP address is 10.10.14.15. 10.10. Let's set the port number as 9001, and then the remaining part. It generates the base 64 encoded reverse shell, but we don't want this plus sign and this plus sign here, so we'll try and balance the payload. We also don't want the equal to sign. Now there are no plus and equal to signs, so this is our payload. We go to the request section and then paste it here. We'll say echo the entire string. Then we'll first base 64 decode the encoded file, and then we'll use bash command. So we'll set the bash reverse netcat reverse shell on 9001 port, and we'll send this request. Invalid HTTP request is detected. We'll just encode this entire thing as characters. URL encode all characters. Then we'll send the request. And since there is no response, we can assume that we got a connection. So now we have connection in the backend machine. We can see that there are this many files in there. We'll just change the directory to home at the box, and then ls. There are UHC directory, the user text, which was displayed here. The secret flag endpoint basically fetch the user text here. So let's see if we can, let's see what all things are in the UHC folder. So first let's check if we are super user or not. I don't think we have super user privileges. Let's go to the UHC folder. Yeah, this many files in there. Let's check the auth log directory. We first check the word line counts in the auth log file. There are 64 lines in there, so we'll just cat it out. You can see that there are the authorization login present of admin @HackThBox, and this is our user, and this is some other person trying to log in as well. But if we check the full authorization, you can see that there's one login failure of this. It's not an user but just a random characters, looks like a password. So we can check if we can switch user to the root using that password. Who am I? We are the root user now. So let's go to let's check our current working directory. It's root already. And then when we do ls, we see the root.txt, which is this file. So now we have successfully got the root access on this machine.